Patricia runs an air conditioning service company. One of her employees sent an invoice to a customer with the wrong item details. Because of this, the invoice had to be cancelled and a new one had to be sent to the customer. This situation could have been prevented if there was an approval system in place. This is where the transaction approval feature in Zoho Books comes into picture. With this feature, a user can send out a transaction only if it gets approved by the admin or by someone with the approver access. Let's see how transaction approval works in Zoho Books. We'll understand transaction approval in 3 basic steps: adding approvers, enabling transaction approval, approving transactions. The first step would be to add approvers. Approvers are people in your organization, such as your sales head or managers, who can approve your sales and purchase transactions. In Zoho Books, the admin of an organization will have access to approved transactions. Log into Zoho Books, go to Settings and select Users and Roles. For existing users, you can edit the role and give them the approver access. Select the Roles tab. This is the role that is manually created. Click Edit next to this role. Now, scroll down to the Sales and Purchases section. Here, you can find the Approve column. Mark the box against the Sales and Purchase module that you want to give the approver access for. Then, scroll down and click Save. Please note that the predefined roles in Zoho Books cannot be edited. You can edit only the roles that have been manually created. You can also create a new role for the approver access and associate it with your users. To know more about creating roles, click the link given in the description below. Now, let's see how to enable transaction approval in Zoho Books. Go to Settings, Preferences, and select Approvals. In the Sales Approval section, you can enable approval for your sales transactions, such as invoices, sales orders, estimates, and credit notes. Click Enable Sales Approval. Choose your approval preferences. If you choose this, any approver in your organization can approve the sales transactions. Click Show Approvers to view the list of approvers in your company. Choose your notification preferences. You can choose to send email and in-app notifications whenever transactions are submitted for approval. You can choose to notify all approvers when a non-approver submits a transaction. You can choose to notify all approvers when an approver or a non-approver submits a transaction. You can choose to notify a specific email address about the approval and enter the email address. You can also choose to notify the submitter when a transaction is approved. If you choose this, you can enable multi-level approval. In multi-level approval, a transaction will have to be approved by all the approvers that you have added for it to get confirmed. So the level 1 approver would need to approve the transaction first, then the level 2 approver, and so on until the final approver. Select the first approver, click Add New Approver and select a second approver, and so on. Let's add 3 approvers for now. The admin of the organization can, however, bypass all these levels and approve the transaction in one go. After configuring your settings, click Save. Now, let's go to the Purchase Approval tab. Click Enable Purchase Approval and configure your purchase approvals accordingly. With this, you have enabled your sales and purchase approval in Zoho Books. Now, let's look at how a transaction gets submitted and approved. In this video, we'll try submitting and approving an invoice. Go to Sales and create a new invoice. Click this button to submit the invoice for approval. Click Yes. Since we are in the multi-level approver settings, all the approvers need to approve the transaction. This will be the view for the first approver. The approver can click the Approve Invoice here or the Approve button on the top to approve the transaction. However, the approver can also reject the invoice. When an invoice is rejected, it will be in the rejected status. You can click Approval History to view the approvals done for this transaction. Now, the invoice will go to the second level approver, and so on. After all the approvers approve the transaction, its status will change to approved, after which the user can send the transaction to the customer. Please note that the admin will have the right to bypass all the approver levels and approve the invoice. This is known as Final Approve in Zoho Books. This is how the invoice will look like in the admin screen. The admin can approve the invoice by clicking More and selecting Final Approve. Now, there can be cases where the approver can approve a transaction by mistake. When this happens, the approval can be reverted by going to More and clicking Convert to Draft. After doing this, the invoice will return to its previous state and would have to be approved again. We hope you have a good understanding of how transaction approval works in Zoho Books. If you have any queries, you can write to us at support@zohobooks.com. Thank you.